Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another show, Zaitoon FM in English.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Brother Bashir. And welcome to Brother Kashif Shahzada.
Welcome, brother.
Brother
Thank you.
Kashif
Assalamu
Shahzada.
alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
So today we're going to be discussing the life of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the first 45 years. Where was he from? When was he born? Who is his father? Where is Qadian? And et cetera, et cetera. What environment did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad grow up in, which nurtured him and caused him to make these claims, these ridiculous, audacious claims of the Messiah, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to start with AK Sheikh. Tell us about Qadian. Where is Qadian, and what do you know about that place?
Thank you, Brother Bashir. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Uh, we are going to talk today about the founder of the occult, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. The Qadian town is right now, after the partition of India and Pakistan, is in India, and it's not that far from Lahore. Is a small town, and Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, he writes with his own pen that he was born in Qadian in 1839, 1840. Now, Brother Bashir and Brother Kashif, here, just imagine, he writes with his own pen in his book named Kitabul Bariya, the volume, Rohani Khazain, volume 13. He writes with his own pen that he was born in 1839, 1840. Like there is either 39 or 40. It makes sense that if he was not sure about that one. Now, the funny thing is this, that his followers, his progeny, his son, not sons, even do not accept and do not believe on him that he's telling the truth. They say that you don't know when you was born, we know when you was born. The funny thing, the, like at that time there was no child, there was nothing, but they are telling that we know when you was born. And officially this cult, if you look at his picture, what they are hanging in there anywhere, there is a 1835 in every, like their magazine, in every, wherever they print his picture, they write that his date of birth is February 1835, which is wrong, which is deception. So he was born, according to himself, 1839, 1840 in Qadian. And he was like 16, 17 years old when he got married. His first marriage, he got married. And he had two sons from the first marriage named Mirza Sultan Ahmad and Mirza Fazl Ahmad. And he never worked anywhere. He used to like staying home or just like you can say reading books. Whereas at the early age, his father actually tried to teach him Arabic and Persian language. For that, his father hired the two teachers for Arabic and Persian. And the most disturbing thing that he used the word that my father, not, he didn't say that employed, he didn't say that he hired a teacher. He said that my father got the servant, knocker. He used the word in Urdu language, knocker. Like a knocker means that It's not any kind of respectful word in that one. It's a kind of a hatred and dislike that one. Uncivilized language word knocker. That
Right. And Sheikh Saab, can I
sure.
interrupt you? I have a question for Kashif Bhai.
Mhm.
Kashif Bhai, were any prophets taught by human teachers?
No, prophets are never taught by human teachers.
So why is
Prophets, prophets, you know, are given wahi or revelation by Allah. They don't have worldly teachers. Prophethood is not something you earn by study and reflection. It is a gift of Allah.
No, my question then comes here, Brother Bashir and Kashif. uh, Neither his father nor he himself knew that he is going to be a prophet. So, how his father would know that I should not hire a teacher because he is going to be supposed to be a prophet? So, like, how you can say that that why he had a teacher?
Uh, pro- if we look at the Quran, then prophets are taught by Allah. A prophet does not have a worldly teacher or an ustad who he goes and he learns prophethood from.
So, in other words, if I understand you correctly, you are saying that when a child uh, gets birth, like who will be in future a prophet, from the day one, he is under the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah takes care about his education, about his teachings, everything. That's what you are saying?
Yes, I'd like to quote a verse from the Quran about Isa alayhi salam.
Mm-hmm.
Allah says about him, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَالتَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ.
Mm-hmm.
The word there is وَيُعَلِّمُ, that Allah will teach him. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ, Allah will teach him the kitab, the book, وَالْحِكْمَةَ, and the wisdom, وَالتَّوْرَاةَ, and the Torah, وَالْإِنْجِيلَ, and the gospel. A prophet is taught by Allah
From the day one.
from day one.
Day
From
one.
day one. This
Okay.
is about Isa alayhi salam, and there are more ayat as well about other prophets.
So,
So the
so,
principle of the Quran is that prophets don't have worldly teachers.
so in other
So
words,
Mirza Saab disqualifies immediately if he has worldly teachers who
yeah,
are teaching him religion.
yeah,
Then he is
he.
disqualified.
So it means that if he was supposed to be a prophet, then Allah will create a certain circumstances that he will never have a teacher. Allah will teach him himself.
Yes.
So his father, like as I'm mentioning from his book, that he writes that my father had the servant like a hired a teacher, I will say, in Persian, for the Persian language and for the Arabic, to teach him that one. So he been not guided, he been not taught by Allah, he been taught by humanly teachers. That's what Bashir is you asking.
Yeah, and let me give you the quote. It's Kitab al-Bariya, Rahuni Hazain, Volume 13, page 180. In
Yeah,
childhood, my education was done in this manner that when I was 6, 7 years old, a Persian-speaking teacher was
yeah.
appointed for me who taught me the Holy Quran, some Persian books, and the name of his teacher was Fazl Ilahi. And when I was about 10, an Arabic teacher was appointed for my education whose name was Fazl Ahmad.
Yeah.
Right? However, Sheikh Saab explained this in the very next volume of Rahuni Azain, volume 14. He says, "Thus I say it on oath that this is my state. No one can prove that I have studied even a chapter of the Quran or Hadith or Tafsir from any human, nor have I been a student of any Mufassir."
Hmm.
So he immediately contradicts himself in the next year, a few years later. Sheikh Saab,
Yeah,
what's your take on
yeah,
this?
yeah. Whereas you mentioned the two teachers, the one is Fazl Ilahi and the other one is Fazl Ahmad. The same time, there was a third teacher whose name was Gul Ali Shah. He was also his teacher. And this was written in his book, in Kitab
In Life
al-Hurriya.
of Ahmed, it's also in Life of Ahmed, online, English edition, page 36. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he had his education from these three people, three teachers. He learned English. He learned Persian. He learned Arabic.
The very basics, not
Very
an
basic.
advanced level,
Yeah.
very basic. Like what I was taught when I was a kid, the last 15 chapters of the Quran, Surah Fatiha, and the first 20, 30 verses of chapter 2. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sheikh Saab,
Yeah.
again.
No, the point is this one, that later he claims, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, he claims that he been not taught by the human teachers. I've been taught and I got the whole knowledge from Allah. Now, it's a big lie that when he says that he didn't have the proper education or from any human like anyone who would have taught. But whereas he writes with his own pen that he been taught by the names mentioned by Brother Bashir, that Fazlillahi and Fazl Ahmad, the same time is Gul Ali Shah. Basics he learned from these gentlemen, and he is claiming later that he been never taught by any teacher.
Well, Sheikh Saab, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never wrote with his own pen. He dictated. He told other people to write.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. But what I'm sorry, no, Brother Bashir, maybe you are right. Why I'm saying with his own pen, I mentioned repeatedly these things, because when we see the compilation of Rohani Khazain, which are the like 80 to 83 books of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, it says that these are written by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, right? So when we see the author name Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, when we see the writer's name Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, so that's why I'm using this one. But maybe you are right that he has only dictated and someone else have written.
So
But
Sheikh Saab, sorry to interrupt you again. When Mirza Ghulam Ahmad told his team of writers to write that he had 3 teachers, that was before his claim of prophethood. When he claimed
yeah,
prophethood, then he makes a statement that says he has no worldly teacher. Kashif Shahzada, what's your take on that?
Rather, it's a contradictory claim. And this is a claim that violates the Quran. First of all, the Quranic principle is that a prophet is taught by Allah. About Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah, Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. It is Allah most gracious. It is He who teaches the Quran. Allah says in Surah 75, La tuharrik bihi lisanaka lita'jala bi. Do not move your tongue with the Quran to make haste therewith. He addresses Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'ana. So upon us is its compilation and its reading. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَ. When we are reciting it, you follow the recitation. Allah taught the Quran to the Prophet. The Prophet did not have any worldly teachers. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Isa alayhi salam did not have any worldly teachers. So the fact that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has got worldly teachers from whom he is learning about religion, disqualifies him immediately from the criteria of the Quran.
Right. So do you think before he claimed prophethood, him and his team thought it was okay to admit to this, but after he claimed prophethood, they immediately corrected it? Is this a plausible synopsis of what happened here?
Brother, it all seems to be a hanky-panky job. You know,
right. It's a kind of a plan. It's a planted thing.
Yes, it is engineered. It seems like there are people who are creating this figure.
So it was not a one. So in other words, Brother Kashif, it was not a one-man job. Like he has a multiple some characters over there who have made the plan to create this prophethood thing and all these things.
Also, let me add this. You know, there
Mhm.
is a field of study called literary criticism.
Hmm.
There are people, if he has not written his own books, if other authors are the ones, that can be discovered through the application of literary criticisms. Like, for example, the Bible. There are scholars who have shown that the Bible was not written by one man, it has multiple authors, and they apply literary criticism theory to that. If you apply, that to the works of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, it can very prominently be shown that he's not the author. When you cut and paste stuff, it is something that comes out that this is a plagiarism. Somebody has plagiarized from somewhere.
But Brother Bashir, as you mentioned, it reminds me that I have read. To be honest, if it would be a written script, I might would have bring clear-cut references for that one. But I don't think the Ahmadiyya cult will challenge my this. What I'm going to say. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, yes, he did not write with his own hand and pen. Why and how? Because I read that what I said. I'm sorry, I cannot provide right now the exact page and the name.
I can
That
keep talking, and I'm gonna look it up.
okay, thank you. I will appreciate if you will bring that. His right hand was so weak because in childhood he broke his arm, and he was not able to hold a cup of tea or a glass of water. He was not able to hold that one, so he had not that much power in his right hand to write even. You are very right. So it means he used to dictate. The same time, the person who ever writes, the person who ever was writing, he could have mixed his own words and everything, whatever he was writing over there. Yes, brother Bashir.
Yeah, so let me just get you that reference. It's Siratul Mahdi. You put on my reading glasses. Siratul Mahdi, Volume 1, page 198. It says Mirza Sultan Ahmad narrates on behalf of Maulvi Rahim Baksh that once his father tripped over a balcony window and injured his right arm, which
Hmm.
remained weak until his death.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Sheikh Saab, there is a famous incident, and I want Kashif Shahzada's take on it. In 1905, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, he never gave public speeches, but when Maulvi Abdul Karim died, they pressed him to say some words. So he comes to say some words, and it was the month of Ramadan, and he was in Ludhiana or Amritsar,
Hmm.
and someone offered him some tea because no one could understand.
Yes, he was drinking with the left hand.
Okay, Brother Kashif, can you drink in front of Muslims with your left hand
In
Ramadan?
Ramadan.
The Islamic perspective.
No, the Islamic perspective is to use the right hand unless you are amputated. You are ashabul yameen, your companions of the right. There is in Islamic scholarship. I was once, let me tell you, I was in Birmingham, UK, and I went to an Arab restaurant owned by Arab brothers, and I ordered food. And subconsciously, I ate something with my left hand. The owner came up to me and he reprimanded me and he scolded me. He said, "What kind of a Muslim are you? You should eat with your right hand." So
Right.
if Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is a prophet, why is he eating with his left hand? Doesn't he know the basic Islamic etiquette?
And what about during Ramadan in front of 400 Muslims that are fasting in the heat of the summer? How disrespectful is that?
That
Well,
was okay,
if the
brother.
poor chap was handicapped, then we'll give him some rope if he has a disease or illness.
But
But
brother
in
Kashif,
normal circumstances, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bashir. The thing is, now the question arises here: like, if he was not able to hold anything in his right hand, right? Then obviously he have to drink or take a sip with his left hand because his right hand is not capable to hold anything, number one. Number two, your point that during the Ramadan, in front of the people, he's taking, whereas he have made his claim that what is his title, what he is. For that, I will say that he should take a time, he should go away from that in front of the people, and then he should drink that one, or he should wait until the gathering is finished, a meeting is finished, whatever he was doing, and then he shouldn't be in front of that one. That I agree with you. But at the same time, with the left hand and right hand concern, he was not capable, his right hand was not capable to hold. Obviously he have to drink with the left hand. So this is the question, when if he was like this, then this thing make a more doubtful that he wrote when the Ahmadiyya says that he used to write for so long, how many hours he used to write the books, this and that. So that's wrong. He could be doing something else, but he never wrote with his own pen, his own books. This is, a question about that one. Yes.
Yeah. So to bring us back to the
Yeah.
Arabic of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. So it seems like he was taught some Arabic by some teachers, just the basics that any kid in the Muslim world is taught from youth. So after Mirza Ghulam Ahmad died, they concocted a story and said he learned, because now all of a sudden he had 10 books that were in Arabic, and they had to explain this. So they said that he learned Arabic 40,000 roots in one night, and that's how he learned Arabic and wrote these books. Brother Kashif, is it possible to learn Arabic in one night, 40,000 roots? What's your take on this? And is there even 40,000 roots? Brother Hani Thayer did a video on this, and it was very good. But what's your take on this, brother?
Brother, it sounds like a fantasy. That is perhaps acceptable in a Hollywood film.
Maybe we should make a film about the life of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and get it published on Netflix from our perspective.
I believe it would be a bestseller. It would be a super hit. You could win the Oscars.
Well, maybe me and Sheikh Saab will contact some publishing companies and make some money off the story. So anyhow, back to the 1920s. Also, I have a reference here from the 1920s, where they said that in 1929 in the Al-Fazl, it says February 5th, 1929. The truth is that the Messiah Maud himself did not claim that he learned the manifest science from anyone. Mirza, he used to say that his teacher was an opium addict and smoked hookah. And sometimes on account of intoxication, he used to spill the contents of the bottle. So they discredited his teachers in an attempt to prove that he didn't learn anything from them. Sheikh Saab, why did they discredit the teachers of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad? You're muted, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted because I was just getting some information from other, and I missed what did you say. I'm really very sorry. Please, apology. Accept my apology. What was your question?
No worries. In 1929, in the Al-Fadl, the second Khalifa, the son of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, discredited the teachers of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and said that they were opium addicts. And that they used to always spill the contents of the bottle. This is also in Malfuzat. Also, Maulvi Sayyid Muhammad Sarwar Shah was an opium addict, and he converted to Ahmadiyya while he was still on opium. Why did they discredit the teachers of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad? Why?
But my question will come up. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad himself was addicted to the opium.
Right. It was a huge problem. So, brother Kashif, why were so many people addicted to eating opium in the 1800s in British India?
Brother, that was a very turbulent time, and Indian society was in flux. You should keep this in the backdrop that the British were the rulers. In 1857, there was the war mutiny that the British say is the mutiny. The King Bahadur Shah Zafar was deposed, and the English were ruling the subcontinent. So this was a very turbulent time in Muslim society itself. There was, advocacy of science. Science was coming in, and knowledge of science, and it was challenging religious beliefs. So, and there was also an influx of, opium, things like that in society. Homeopathy, let me tell you, because my family is also from Amritsar. My dad came from Amritsar, okay, India. In our family also, there is a take-up of homeopathy. During that time, Punjab, East Punjab was very famous for homeopathic doctors. And you might find, in the Ahmadiyya that homeopathy is, for some reason, advocated a lot.
Oh, yes.
So you have to
Also
see
in Scientology. Also
Huh?
in Scientology. In Scientology, it's also the number one medicine that they use.
Okay, yeah, but you've got to don't. My point is, see Mirza Ghulam Ahmad in the context when he was born. What sort of an environment was he in? And all this, opium usage, drug usage, these are all bad influences, brother. These are red flags. If a man is a junkie and he's claiming to hear voices, or he's saying I'm a prophet, immediately you should put a red flag up. Maybe
Right,
he
well-
had some health
Well,
problems.
Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never admitted to using opium in his whole life. The truth came out after he died, and his sons admitted. In fact, his sons admitted that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad in 1889, 1890, he gave opium to Mirza Bashir Mahmud Ahmad for illnesses, and then he had a bunch of problems. He couldn't matriculate. He had a bunch of health problems. He gave him opium as an infant for maybe the first 2 years of his life. How could that have had an effect on his brain when he became the second Khalifa?
Even the liquor he gave he suggested, and he gave the liquor as well, whereas like for pneumonia they used to give that there is a name of the one of the liquor mostly they give. The Mirza Ghulam Ahmad used to drink wine, and he openly asked his followers to bring for him from the Lahore Plomer, that was the chemist shop at Mar Road, I believe that. So the thing
It's
is,
still there. That shop is still existing today, even.
Brother, can you go there and take a picture and post a
Uh,
picture?
no,
Let me tell
I think I took a picture. I remember
Yes.
that I took a picture
E
of
Plomer building, E
With-
Plomer. We had property at Mall Road. Okay, my dad
Wow.
owned property there. I know. E Plomer building is a famous building, and that chemist is still there in Lahore.
At the same time, Brother Bashir, don't forget, that that's the Ahmadi Viagra. The Ahmadi Viagra Zad Jame Ishq.
Zadame Ishq, yeah.
Yeah, his in the formulation he have used so many things in that one. Opium is also one of the ingredient in that one. The Ahmadiyya Viagra, which the blue tablet, which he used and he gave to even his successors, Hakim Noordin and his companion as well. They used
Well,
that too.
let me interrupt you, Sheikh Saab. Didn't Nuruddin prescribe Zadame Ishq for Mirza Ghulam Ahmad because he was impotent? In 1884, when he got married, he used the Urdu phrase "namard,"
Yep.
which doesn't translate into English properly.
In-
Namard means non-man, right? But
No, it means impotent.
Impotent.
Namard means impotent.
right. But what I mean is
no,
literally. A mother
literally,
is like a man, but in this
is-
context, it means impotent.
No, it's just like that one. When a woman is pregnant, we say that in our language, iska paun bhari hai. The literally language will be foot heavy.
With
But
foot heavy, right?
yeah, but we know that means that the woman is pregnant. So the same is namar is like important.
Yeah, so I pressed the Ahmadis on this. Remember, in 1902, 1903, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that his friend has told him that for his diabetes, he should take opium. Brother, it would have been halal for Mirza Ghulam Ahmad to take opium if he was a diabetic and all the medical problems that he had. If he would just admit to it, and then his salat might be. Brother Kasha, if you're taking opium, even for medicine, is your salat halal or haram?
Brother, the Quran is very clear. Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, ayah 43.
Yeah.
Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O you who believe, la taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. Do not approach salah, prayers, with the mind befogged.
So
Hatta ta'lamu ma taqulun, until you know what you are saying. So if you are under the influence of alcohol or drugs or opium, whatever, your salah is not valid.
So if Mirza Ghulam Ahmad had all of these medical problems, he was prescribed opium in 1884. We know he was taking it before and after. So I pressed Ahmadis on this, and they say no, he took it one time. He took
He was used
Viagra
to.
one
He was
time.
addicted. He was addicted. He used the regular user of that.
Yeah, so the Ahmadis on Twitter who I came across, they say no, he only used it one time, and that was to cure his impotency, and he never had to use it again. So then I asked them, but in Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's quotation, he says, I wish I could take it, but I won't take it because people will joke. The first Messiah, an alcoholic,
Yes.
a nashe.
Yeah.
Brother Kashif, is this kind of parallel acceptable for a Muslim to make? To say that the first Messiah, an alcoholic, which even in Christian perspective, Jesus Christ was not an alcoholic. He drank from time to time, here and there, but that's not the definition of an alcoholic. Can a Muslim call the God of Christians an alcoholic in a parallel and make this type of statement?
Brother, what are you saying? What is this nonsensical claim? A man of God. You know what intoxicants are called in the Quran? Innamal khamru wal maisaru wal ansabu wal azlamu rijsum min amali shaitan. Surah Maida, chapter number 5, verse number 90. These things are an abomination of shaitan.
Yeah.
Imagine a prophet of Allah following shaitan. You know, when I come to know these things, immediately Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is being disqualified. Immediately. A man of God follows God's instructions, and here you have a man who is violating God's instructions. And how come you are accepting him as a prophet? What are you doing? Where is your sense?
Bharat Bashir, I will say only one thing. Just for God's sake, what evidence Mirza Ghulam Ahmad had that Mazallah, the Hazrat Isa alayhi salam used to drink alcohol? What evidence he had? Just he is quoting, according to him, that I'm quoting from Bible or from saying from somebody this and that. What a nonsense is this one, that you are believing a person, you are believing such idiots whoever are saying about the Prophet of Allah that he used to do this one, and you have quoted and you have delivered to the world that, look, I am a Messiah and I came on his footstep. Mean, whatever he was, I am the one. Think about this one, his state of mind. He not had a clue what I'm going to say, and he was very funny. Oh, the people will say the first Jesus was addicted of alcohol, the second is addicted of opium. I mean, he should feel ashamed on that one, that you are putting allegation on a prophet of Allah. And you say that I follow his footstep.
It goes deeper. Amtheanswers.com, as I brought this to the literary world, he responded to it, but he did not quote that part of the joke. He only quoted the first part where Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said, "I'm diabetic and I won't take it." So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said he refused to take it, even though it would be halal. He refused to take it. So Sheikh Saab, why did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad lie about his opium use? Why not admit to it and say, I have medical problems, I need it? Why?
Bashir, he lied in the daylight. He lied everything. What is only a one thing he's saying? He lied for everything. He had no clue at all what he was talking, what he was writing, and what he was making a claim. He was lying everything, to be honest with you. And that's why I say this is not Ahmadiyya Jamaat. This is not a sect of
You guys hear me?
Islam.
Okay, I'm back. So we're discussing the early life of. Okay, we're all back. We had some technical difficulties. We are all back. So okay, let's go back to his childhood. Now, did he ever come out when he was 10 years old? He had been taught. He even went to Batala and met, and his family was a close friend with Sayyid Muhammad Hassan Batalavi. They were also Ali Hadith. One of Mirza Ghulam's teachers was Ali Hadith. Um, so when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad came back, he was 14 years old. No, he was 10 years. He was still 10 years old. His brother gets married. Mirza Ghulam Murtaza, Mirza Ghulam's father, arranges for 22 dancing girls to come to Qadian to entertain the guests. Sheikh Saab, was this an Islamic environment?
Absolutely, absolutely is the gist of Islamic teachings. The thing is, but again, he can put the blame on his father, that was my father's act, not his own. Like, you cannot blame him, whatever his father did. But the same time, he will own this thing. Oh, my father was the Raise Qadian. He was like this. Because of him, he has all the wealth and everything. That he will claim, but he will not take over here what his father did, Bharati dancers over there. He will say that was not my act, that was my father's. It's Brother Bashir. I wish, I think we are running out of time. We have to just a little bit discuss about the journal, some issues as well. His life, as we have started, in the next program, we will be like how he started this thing, and when he start making like these kind of debates, where he was a very, according to them, very popular in the Muslim community. He became a popular in Muslim community as a debater. We will bring to that one as well in our next program. And the other thing, the same, like one thing I believe you mentioned, if I have missed this one, he never in his whole life, he never led the prayer.
Was this because he was on opium and he wasn't in the right mind?
No, there were two reasons. One was that he was addicted to that one. The other thing was that Qazi Yar Muhammad, one of his follower, he used to bother him a lot, because whenever he is offering the prayer, he used to bug him a lot. He was used to play with his body. At the same time, he never paid the zakat. He never offered the itikaf, like the last 10 days of the Ramadan. He never did that. He never went for the pilgrimage. He never went to Mecca and Medina, to those two holy cities. He never performed the Hajj.
Yeah. A quick question for Kashif bhai. In Pakistan today, do Muslims uh, um, hire 22 dancing girls or 20 dancing girls to entertain their guests at a wedding. Have you ever heard of this?
Brother, it happens in certain circles. Let me tell you, yes. But
In the rich
not,
families, they can hire even 50 girls to
yeah, but
entertain them.
uh, not in respectable families.
Not in a
Not in
respectable.
respectable
Yes.
families. No.
Yeah.
In some landlords or
Uh,
vagabond
feudal lords, they
feudal
will.
household, that things like this happens,
Yeah.
but not in cities like Lahore or Islamabad or Karachi. Because when you say dancing girls, do you mean with clothes on or
They,
without?
they did not specify. In this reference is from Life of Ahmed by Dard in English. It's the highest authority on the life of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad that was published in English in 1947. I didn't find any corroborating information, but it's by their top imam, one of their top imams, so it's authentic. Kashif bhai, one more question. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never gave a khutbah Jummah. What kind of imam doesn't ever give a khutbah Jummah? Have you ever heard of this?
Brother, this information that you're sharing with me, I'm matching it with what the Quran says. You know what the Quran says about prophets of Allah? Chapter number 21, Surah Anbiya, ayah number 73. Allah says about prophets. The context is Anbiya. وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا. We made the prophets as imams. They guide by our command.
They have to lead. They have to lead the nation. They have to
Yes,
lead
a
the family.
prophet is an imam. He
Imam.
is imam.
What's the reference, brother?
21:73.
Surah Anbiya.
I will be writing an essay on that in a few weeks.
How come you have got somebody who claims to be a prophet, but he is not an imam?
No,
Yeah,
but
This is
because
the
sorry to say, Bashir, because he is using the excuse of one of the hadith. He says that in one of the hadiths it is mentioned when the Imam Mahdi will come, Messiah will come, he will not lead the prayer. This is what the one hadith. I don't know what is the status of that hadith, but
Yeah,
that's
I've cataloged that. Let me just pull it up.
Mhm.
So in 1903, Brother Kashif, in 1903, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was asked by people, because people came to Qadian and they would see that he never leads the prayer. They asked him, how come he doesn't lead the prayer? The argument that he gave was that in the hadith, in Bukhari, it said, Imamahum minkum, I think. Did I say that properly?
Imamuhum minkum, your imam is from you.
So he used this to say, and you know what? I just pulled it up. So I'm going to read it now. This is from Malfuzat, Volume 3. It could be a different volume than what's published now. This was published in 1961. So we don't have the original. However, it says, from this we also infer that at the time of Messiah Maud, he will not lead the prayers, it will be someone else. He was quoting about combining prayers, because Ahmadis also are really fast at combining their prayers for no reason. So this is the argument that he made. Brother, is this a good argument or is it a cop?
No, brother, it's not a good argument. Rather, it's a very futile argument, because, as I said, a prophet of Allah is an imam. About Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter number 2,
brother,
verse 124. Yeah.
Brother Bashir, it was Malfuzat, Volume 3.
Yeah, sorry, Brother Kashif, we'll come back to you in just a sec.
Yeah.
So I found the reference, Malfuzat, Volume 3. I have a scan from the Urdu edition.
No, let me get that. Let me get that. Thank you so much. Just give me a minute. Let me get that Volume 3.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk to Brother Kashif. So
yes.
Brother Kashif, back to you. So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is not leading the prayers. He has a chronic medical condition of diabetes, diarrhea. He never gives a khutbah Jummah. He never gives an Eid prayer. Then they concocted a story about khutbah ilhamiyah. Have you heard of khutbah ilhamiyah?
Brother, no, I haven't. But if he is not an imam, then he is 100% certain that he is not a prophet. Because according to the Quran, one of the qualifications of being a prophet is to be an imam. And I have given you the proof. Chapter 21, ayah 73. Also chapter number 2, Al-Baqarah, ayah 124. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبَّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. When Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested by Allah, he completed the test. Allah says, Inni ja'iluka linnasi imama. I have made you an imam for mankind. A prophet of Allah is an imam. If you have somebody who is not an imam, who does not lead the prayer, he is not a prophet.
Right, but
Look into the Quran. Read into the Quran.
What if they argue that no, an Ummati Nabi doesn't fall under that category? An Ummati Nabi is a different category who's not binding. Remember, we just learned anything an Ummati Nabi says is not binding. So what if they make this argument that he was in a class of prophets who was greater? He claimed to be the second coming of Ibrahim, Adam, and greater than Isa, but he doesn't fall into the category.
Brother, what is the proof of the Quran? Where does the Quran use the term Ummati Nabi? Give proof. You know, when you are making a claim, you don't go away scot-free. You have to give proof. And Islam's book of authority is the Quran. First of all, you have to justify your beliefs from the book of Allah.
Yeah, one sec.
Whatever.
Are you looking for that reference?
Yeah. What is the page number? Is 63? Malfuzat, volume 3, page 63.
No, page 211. And you know what? I'm going through my reference here. It actually said. Okay, there seem to be some issues with my reference. It's from October 21st, 1903, and it says volume 3. It should be page 211, 211 to 212.
Then you are talking, I think, must be online or some other, because what I have, I can show you. This is the 211.
Okay, let me check.
I mean, is this the one you have?
Hold on. Let's see. Well, I don't exactly know. Let me pull it. I'm gonna pull it from the MD Answer website. He's commented on it. I thought I included it. So let's see. Give me just a sec. Yeah. So we in the next video. Oh yeah, it's volume 2. I'm sorry, it's not volume 3. It's volume 2, page 211 and 212.
Okay, let me get that.
Yeah. So Kashif Bhai, these were the things that I read about, that I went and cataloged, and in 1,600 essays, I might make small errors here and there, and I go back and I fix them. For example, in this case, I'm gonna go back and edit this essay with the proper reference if we can find it. If not, I'll go back and I'll find it, and I rewrite. I rewrite a lot of essays. So these were the issues that I had with Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as I started reading so this was later on, 2013, 2014, and 2015. I said, how can I accept this man as even being, forget a prophet? How can I accept him as a layman? I have a problem accepting him as a layman because I know of his medical problems. I know the reality, that he never reads prayer. So remember, in Sirat al-Mahdi in 1923, they covered this up and said, no, he led prayers 3 or 4 times. Now, if you're a prophet, is 3 or 4 times enough?
Okay. The one I have, this is the volume 2 of Malfuzat. Okay, let me show you.
Got it?
Now, the page 212 says, ये भी साबित होता है. This, it also proves that at the time of Masih Maud, in the prayer, he will not be Imam. He will not pesh Imam, that he will not lead the prayer. Someone else will lead the prayer. Because, and the Imam, well, they will collect, they will be offering the prayers together, like Jama Namaz, Jama Karega. So they are referring this one to a hadith. That's why the Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never led the prayers as per hadith, according to hadith. That's what it is mentioned.
Got it.
Now,
So, Brother Kashif, is it true that when the Messiah comes, prayers will be combined? Because it seems like at Qadian, they were combining Zuhr Asr for no reason and Maghrib Isha for no reason.
and he will not lead the prayers.
And he will not lead. Brother Kashif, I was leading the prayer, Zuhr Asr, anyone can lead. It's just Surah Fatiha and a lot of Allahu Akbar. Right? Am I correct? Isn't that easy?
Brother, combining the prayers is during, in some schools of jurisprudence, fiqh, it is during the travel. If you are traveling, you can combine the prayers, and during Hajj, when you go to Hajj and on Yawmul Arafah, the day of Arafat, you combine your
Yeah.
prayers. You pray.
That is the practice. That is the practice during
That
Hajj.
is the practice in the Muslim world.
Yeah.
You combine the Zuhr prayers and the Asr prayers, and you combine the Maghrib prayers and the Isha prayers, and you also do Qasr. Qasr is that if you pray 4 rakat, you shorten it to 2 rakat. This is how Muslims practice it. The Shias, let me tell you, the Shias combine the prayer at times. They pray Zuhrain and Maghribain. Okay, but they pray 5 times, but they will sometimes combine the prayer. But in the Sunni schools of thoughts, you combine the prayers when you are in a special circumstance, like you're traveling, or if there is war, in special circumstances.
But
So
not as a daily routine.
No.
Yeah.
If you are not traveling, then you do your full salah.
Like they have their gathering, for example, they have their any kind of ijtama. They will say, okay, let's because that is more important than the prayers. We combine the prayer and we continue our whatever the.
That is not correct. That is not Islamically. That is not correct.
That's the normal practice in Ahmadiyya. It's a very normal practice.
Yeah. So going back to the top, we're hearing an echo. I'm not sure. But anyhow. Yeah, I can still hear the echo in the feedback. All right, let me try something on my end.
Maybe okay. Brother Shahzada. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes.
Please. But we seem to have an echo.
Should I turn the mic off?
Yeah, just do it for a minute. Oh,
okay. Let's see. Is there still an echo? Nope, the echo's gone.
So it was Brother Shah. Okay, would you like to take Brother Bashir because it's already an hour? Would you like to take some question or we should?
Sure. So let me just conclude.
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, we've only touched the first 10 years of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's life. We haven't even hit the first 45. We're going to keep it at the first 10. We're going to continue on the next episode, probably a week from now, a Saturday morning job on the West Coast. So we will continue next Saturday with the early life of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. And now we're going to take some calls. Brother Farouk, tell us what we got.
The other thing which I'd like to mention, that if someone had any kind of a suggestion, any question, they can contact us via email. The email will be shown as Brother Fruq comes. He will show you. Here is the Zaitoon FM official at gmail.com. So you can contact via email, and you can send your suggestions and you can send your questions, and we will address it in our next program. And the other thing, like my number you have, same time, Brother Bashir, you can contact with Brother Bashir and send us your suggestions and questions, and we will address those. Yes, Brother Farooq.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So, Brother Bashir.
Is there any caller?
Yeah, we have a caller.
Okay.
Hasib Khwaja, advocate.
MashaAllah. That's our gentleman friend, Brother Hasib Khwaja Saab. You're welcome, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sheikh.
You're welcome.
I have a question from Brother Bashir. Brother Bashir, you referred to Khutbah Ilhamia. Please elaborate briefly on as to what is Khutbah Ilhamia. Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely. And I was trying to get Brother Kashif to comment on this, but let me tell you the story. So remember, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, no khutbah Jummah, no regular khutbah, no speech in public, no speaking in public. In 1889, he was supposed to give a speech at the Aligarh University, and he backed out, and he was embarrassed because he just can't do it. And that was a university that had invited him. So anyhow, in 1900, I think, they concocted a story on Eid. It was Eid going to be the next day. They found out who was in Qadian, and they said Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, after the Eid khutbah, he's not going to give the Eid khutbah. After the Eid khutbah, he's going to get up and say some words. So the Eid khutbah happened. Nuruddin was the Eid guy. He always gave the Eid khutbah. And sometimes it could be Abdul Kareem. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad got up and he said some things in Arabic. Now, no one knows what he said. We don't have an audio recording. We don't have a video recording. A year later, when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed prophethood, November 1901, they finally published the contents of Khutbah al-Hamiyah, and that first edition is still missing. Now, we don't believe any Ahmadiyya literature until we see the first edition to see what changes that they made later. So this is published. They claim Allah took the tongue of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and Mirza Ghulam Ahmad spoke while under with the ruh, with some type of spirit, with Allah controlling him. And in this khutbah, it was totally in Arabic, and we all know Mirza Ghulam Ahmad had a Punjabi accent, so I don't know how whoever was writing it down could even write it down properly. It makes no sense. But so they published it in 1901. Then a second edition came out in 1902, and then so this is how they do they work backwards and say, no, he gave a speech. Look at this with al-Hamiyah. He gave this speech in Arabic. Well, in that book, he claims to be greater than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Na'udzubillah. Sheikh Saab, can you tell us of that khutbah?
This is like when he made a plan, before the day of 1 or 2, he asked the people, send me their names for the dua because I'm going to deliver a khutbah in Arabic. And that will be like is a kind of Allah will be speaking through me. And he said at that time to Maulvi Abdul Kareem that ask me if you couldn't write what I would be speaking. Ask me right the way, so I will tell you, because after that, if you will ask me, maybe I'll forget that one or may not correct that. So these kind of things. Now, as the Brother Bashir said, at that time, only and only Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and Maulvi Abdul Kareem Sialkoti, who was very good in Arabic, these two people. The rest people have no clue what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is saying, what he was saying. They did not have the record, audio or video of that one. What Mauli Abdul Karim have written, nobody have the clue. No one can say this is right or wrong, or he's whatever he said, he wrote the same. There is no evidence. You cannot find any kind of evidence. And what was he? Brother Hasib, you can see that the Khutbah Ilhamiya in that book, there is a translation is also over there, that in Urdu language and as well Arabic, the translation is there. But as Brother Bashir mentioned, the main thing that there is no evidence that whatever they are writing right now, the Khutbah Ilhamiya, was that delivered, or there was something else. He was telling a story of something, or whatever he was talking. There
Or,
is no.
or maybe he mumbled for 20 minutes or 10
But
minutes.
that's what I'm saying. Whatever he was telling the stories, or he was telling about his own, as you mentioned, very good, that he's a Punjabi. He cannot. The funny thing is this one he wrote with his, again in his book, that he cannot pronounce kaf because he was a Punjabi. In kaf in Arabic, it's something like you have to pronounce in Arabic way, but he was not. He said, "I'm a Punjabi. Oh, I can perform the kaf in Arabic." That is written. Yeah.
Got it. So, Brother Kashif, what's your take on this Khutbah Ilhamiya, the concoction of it, the story of it? What's your take, brother?
Brother, my take is that the Quran is the final revelation from Allah. And anybody who comes in and says he's having ilham or some revelation after the Quran, then according to the Quran, he is a false claimant. The Quran
Yes.
says very clearly in chapter number 6, ayah number 115, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ. That the word of your Lord has been completed
Completed.
with truth and righteousness. Nobody can change his words. So the Quran is final. Any claim anybody says that I am receiving messages from Allah, he's hearing voices, either he has a psychiatric problem or he's a fraudster, he's out there to cheat people and make money. There are only these two possibilities, because revelation has been completed, the deen has been completed.
Completed.
Muhammad Sallallahu has taught us what we are to do, how we are to live our life.
Very
So,
true. Very true.
there is no room for any claimant to receive revelations or ilham or something and teach us something new.
Very true.
Got it. Okay, Farouk, back to you,
And-
brother. What's our next question? We're on a roll here.
We don't have any caller right now.
Okay.
So
The
you
time
can
is
continue.
also there. 1:00. Okay. Brother Bashir, thank you so much. If you want to say that the conclusion words, please.
Yeah, once again, I said this before, I'll say it again. We only touched the first 10 years in the life of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. Barely. We barely scratched the surface. We're going to do more shows discussing the foundation of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, where was he coming from, which will explain why he made all his claims later on. So tune in next week, same time, Saturday morning if you're on the West Coast, 10 a.m. If you're on the East Coast, that's 1 p.m. If you're in Pakistan, that is 10
10.
p.m.
10
10
p.m.
p.m.
Saturday night. 10 p.m. on Saturday night. If you're on the moon, it doesn't matter. If you're on opium, it doesn't matter. You'll just search our hashtags. You'll find us. If you miss us live, catch us on the replay. With that, I'm gonna go back to Brother Kashif. Can you take us out with a dua, brother?
Okay, I would also request all brothers and sisters who are listening to study the Holy Quran, because all the things that have been shared, you owe it to yourself to see firsthand whether these claims and these conducts they reconcile with the book of Allah or not. So obtain a copy of the Quran and please study the Quran. Start studying it from chapter 1 till the last chapter and make comparisons of Mirza Sahib's teachings and his actions with actually what the Quran says. This is very important. I end with a small dua. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك
آمين.
الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس
Amin.
آمين.
ربنا وجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا أمة مسلمة لك وأرنا مناسكنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار
آمين.
سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Alameen. Amin. Jazakumullah.
آمين.
Thank you so much, Brother Kashif. Thank you so much. May Allah bless you. And we all, with His blessings, with this, we wind up our program. And inshallah, we see you next week on Saturday. As Brother Bashir mentioned the timings. So please stay safe and may Allah bless you. Allah Hafiz.
Jazakallah. Thank you so much, everyone. And do not forget to subscribe this our new channel and press that bell icon so that you never miss an update. Thank you so much. See you next time. Take care. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
السلام عليكم.